All right, welcome to the Stretch Street podcast. This is the energetic EJ. So today on the show, I have with me Dario Sipos from Croatia. Now, Dario Sipos is a digital marketer strategist, branding expert, keynote public speaker, business columnist, author of the highly acclaimed book Digital Personal Branding and Digital Retail Marketing. And today he's sharing with us his stretch story of being a refugee for 10 years due to the war of independence in Croatia, after which he spent another decade getting out of poverty by working as an assistant construction worker to finally becoming what or who he is today, being a digital strategist, author, PhD, and author of book Digital Personal Branding. So today we're going to talk about his stretch story, how he moved from being a refugee to being the acclaimed strategist that he is today. So sit back, relax as we unpack this stretch story of Darios Shipos. But before we get into that conversation, let us get to meet him, all right? Yes. Hello! So, 60% of those who visit this channel are not subscribed. Are you one of them? Come on! Anyways, I know you forgot, right? So now I'm here to remind you to hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications so you don't have to miss any of our episodes, alright? Now, let us dive into today's episode and I'll see you on the other side. Yes. So, hi Darius. I've already called your name. They already know your name. So let us start with what do you do?
My name is Dario. Thank you for having me. I'm currently digital marketing strategist, marketing expert. So currently I work for a large international chain of consumer electronics like retail with 4,000 stores. And I am basically, we could say worldwide, but basically it's limited to Europe plus South Africa. I'm creating the digital strategy and I'm educating all the people working internally how to do maximum online success with minimum money, with a minimum investment. So that's basically my job. I became expert in doing miracles with almost no money in digital marketing.
I like that. So, what's your philosophy about life?
My philosophy of life is that you have to constantly reinvent yourself. So you have to constantly find what's working and then see what actually society needs and offer that instead of sticking to your job and not being assigned to a role in life actually works benefits for you. It's better that people don't assign you that you are exactly that role and then you can reinvent yourself.
Fantastic. I love it. So, tell us one fun thing about you.
One fun thing, I'm actually a really good plumber. That's like from my previous life. I'm a really good plumber and a construction worker. So, solid construction worker and a really good plumber. So, it's my alternative job, alter ego.
That's fantastic to know. All right. So now let's dive into your story. Tell us about this refugee journey of moving. So what country were you a refugee in, and how did you get to this place that you are? So just take us through this journey, right? Your journey.
Right. So basically, 1990s in Croatia, we had like war of independence, and before war, I was from normal, we could say, hard-working family where it was absolutely normal that you need to work 10 hours per day, and no one will ever say thank you. It was just like assumed for survival, but basically we're doing very well, right? Because always we're working. So I grew up basically with really hard working habits. And then we got this war of independence. And from that hard working environment, we actually had to move. We moved like 400 kilometers. We were only shortly abroad from Croatia. Because my mother didn't want to like move to another country, even that we had like great offers. How to explain it? Because we were the first refugee in the wars, we got like the good offers, like let's move to Austria or somewhere, right? Because we're like unique. we were actually, I was in a group of 100 people that were first refugee in the war. But my mother always dreamt that and my grandparents were dreaming that we will return home, right? So the point when you are a refugee, you're always like, you want to be close to home. You don't want to go to another country because, my grandparents were working 60 years to create a house which we left. So after 3 months of being refugee, after dreaming that we will return, we woke up one morning and on TV were recordings that the houses are burning. So someone was recording from far away, and basically that's like first time in my life I seen my like grandfather crying or someone because someone destroyed his house. So this was like 3 months of hope that we will return. And when we realized that there is no return anymore, we moved 300 kilometers away. And, my mother was basically, because my father remained in a war and he was in concentration camp for 1 year and 1 month. So 13 months he was in concentration camp. So basically my mother was single mother, and, being a refugee is good first 2 months. But after 2 months, people get bored of you, right? So everyone likes to help you first 2 months. Later, people are not interested so much, right? The PR opportunity was already wasted for all the politicians. So for some 9 years, we were like struggling, and I started working during summer. I think I was 14 years of age. My uncle actually told me that it makes no sense that I'm sitting at home during the school break and there is a good like plumber job. And I didn't know nothing about work. So I got this job and I started working with plumbers, and it was really like hard. You have to be on construction site from 7 in the morning until 8 in the evening. If someone says at 7 in the 7 p.m. that it's done, you are like so happy because it was only 12 hours. And basically every school break and I spent working with plumbers. And then later during high school I also stayed working every Sunday and every weekend. I realized that when there is Sunday and Saturday, people don't want to work, so this is paid extra. And
Extra, yeah.
yeah, so and then I realized, which is not nice, Croatia is like a religious country, and my mother and grandparents raised me never to work on a like church holiday. But I realized
Mm.
this is paid like 5 times more. So so, so in the some for example, some hotels got like plumbing jammed, during church holidays. So I went to clean this and like earned a lot of money. So like very early I realized like value of working, because before working I was dreaming I will buy myself some Nike shoes or something. But as soon as I got first salary, I went to one city and I realized, okay, this Nikes cost like a lot of money, and I realized I can buy a gas stove for my mother. So I bought some copy of shoes and I bought her gas stove. And like this, working like 9 years, one summer they told us that we should return home because the war passed, and now they return us to really destroyed environment. The government actually built a house, but there is nothing there. So you're in a village, 40 kilometers from closest city, 30 to 40 kilometers, but there is nothing remaining. You have a house, and again there is a nice PR, someone gave you a house, they made a picture for you, but you have no water, right? And no one is like telling you, what should you like do with this thing. Basically we were getting some really small amount of money while we were refugees, and then government said, okay, now you have to return, here is the paper, if you don't sign this paper, someone else will get your house. So we actually go back, and then again, working, somehow going to university. We didn't have buses, so what kept me going was like that my parents didn't have so easy life. So for them it was normal to walk 10 kilometers to school, so they transferred this to me. So I actually didn't have like any other reality in my head. I noticed my colleagues on university, they have cars, but simply my brain, because I was from another reality, couldn't comprehend that someone gives you a car. So I always imagine they somehow earned it, and one day I will be there. So somehow like this, it will pass 15, 16 years till I finish university. And I actually finished some type of, like, we could say, mechanical engineering. And one of university professors on day of my graduation tells me a really scary thing. They told me amazing, it was all fantastic, but Dario, you will never find a job in your life. And
Wow.
I got completely scared. And this guy was friendly to me, and I got completely scared. And I asked him, like, why, like, I need job, like, urgently.
Exactly.
And he said, because your problem is that you understand everything, and large systems don't like this, because you understand
Really?
things. Yeah. So the large system understand, uh, you understand things, you will notice what's wrong, and you will naturally go to fix it, because it's in your instinct. You see something incorrect, like plumbing or something, you'll go fix it. And in systems, this doesn't work like this. You have to be quiet, and just be quiet and work till you get the salary. And he educated me, like, in 20 minutes. He told me, on a job, you are getting a salary basically to be there and do what you are told, not to show any initiative. Uh, so, and then I landed the first job, right? And of course, I didn't keep quiet. And I noticed my first job was on construction of some factory, because I was like engineer and the factory was remote. And I noticed that there were suppliers who are selling something to company that is not needed, but the cost was like 200,000 euros per month. So immediately I went, like, to, like, diagnose the problem. I noticed, okay, I thought, because I'm naive and young, I think, okay, these people simply
You
made
made
an
a
error.
mistake.
There is a mistake, right? We are paying 200,000 euros per month by mistake. It's not like deliberate, right? Um, but one of that companies, it was international companies that was supplying, sends a mail to another international company where they diagnose all their problems to me, and they literally write that Dario Sipos, it's his problem, it's his fault that he's preventing this really lucrative business. And they sent that email to that partner. That partner was another international company, but the CEO invites me for a job interview. He realized it like a good thing. He was a German person. And he realized, okay, it seems this guy knows how to work. So let's invite him for an interview. So this is how I started. Basically, I started working in a corporation, and I was hired as a naive person with a task to find and solve some problems. And sometimes I was doing, right. So this is my basic story, how I got from the refugee and all of this. But now we summarize it in few minutes. Basically, 15 years, 16 years passed.
Hmm. That's quite an interesting one. So before I move on, because I'm going to ask you the next question, before we get into what you do now, is what lesson, if you were going to share one thing that you took away from that experience, what would it be based on your experience? What lesson did you take away from that?
So the biggest lesson that I had in life, this was like a flash, epiphany, you could say, a few years ago, is that the book works. I was reading something, and then I got this idea: the books are working. When I was really poor, in poverty, I was reading books and communication, but this was old school books. We could say, like, Brian Tracy from 90s 80s, before he was pitching so much sales speech. And it was some books which I got from these old motivators. And what it came mind to me, the book worked. Exactly one book worked, which I was reading, that you can imagine your better future, you can work, be enthusiastic, and in the end it will succeed. So this was like my main lesson. My main message to the people is to read books, and old books. Everything was already invented hundreds of years ago or 50 years ago, so it's just needed to read. But now it's interesting how I got the books. This is another lesson. I got the ideas what to read from very lazy people. When I was thinking in my life, who actually gave me the idea to read a book from Brian Tracy? It was, I was on some really seminar, and there was a really lazy person next to me, really like lazy guy. The guy was like 90% of time thinking how not to work, and he was like elaborating me how he will avoid. But in one moment he mentioned Brian Tracy, and I said, like, what is Brian Tracy? I never heard of it. And he said, like, write it down. It's good. He will teach you how to not work, right? Because he has these tricks how to quickly sell without actually investing too much effort. So I read the book, and I realized my impression of the book was, okay, this is not to teach me how not to work. This is how to like motivate me. So let's summarize that my main lesson is young people especially, should read books. They should not stick to a role. They should constantly reinvent what they are doing, see what market needs, and listen a lot of people around. Ask everyone, what do you know? And I don't know.
I love it. I love it. So then, from your working in the corporate world, what was your journey like to then becoming a digital? Like, what inspired you to move into from construction into the digital space?
So basically, in construction, you learn how to communicate with people. In construction, you learn that you can really like do your best, do all the work by standard, and you will have a customer that complains, right? And then you learn another thing, is that uh, my saying, when people now are in panic, for example, in digital marketing, I get constantly people like in panic telling me I'm failing with this and this, and I tell them always, and they don't understand why am I telling them this plumbing example. And I tell them, when the water is leaking, plumbers are not crying, they are not in panic, it's the best time. So this is what I'm telling to young generation. So this is what I learned with plumbers, is that when there is panic, when the client is crying and screaming, it's best time for plumbers, right? Because you are you are doing
You're
your
there
job,
to
and it's,
provide a solution. Yeah.
yeah, I am the solution, right? So this is like so from this corporate world, I really like, I did my job best. I like regularly received awards, but I was missing something. I like expected that when we have 10 problems, and now we will sit on a table, we will discuss it, and we will solve 10 problems. We actually solved one, and that was like congratulated all of us. Because in corporate world, it's not about solving problems, it's like communication and discussion and stalling time, and you have a lot of private interest behind, like personal incentives of people, and you don't understand what's happening. You're like telling to the boss, okay, we should solve this problem, and the boss is like, no, but like, why not? It like makes no sense for no. You don't know the full truth. So I have like this entrepreneurial spirit, and by accident, through some restructuring schemes of corporations, I was really nicely thanked for my job, and I was offered another position. But I simply, how to say, I didn't I would say I didn't pass the interview. I like to say the truth, I don't like to say the role didn't suit me. I would say that on the interview they didn't like me and I didn't like them. And even they didn't like me more than I didn't like them, right? So uh, one so I get some local job, really like strange job. I'm doing something in sales, and some guy arrives like a sales guy from Czech Republic. So he driven from Czech Republic like 800 kilometers. I never met the guy, and he shows up on door really uh, optimistic, and he has some samples of kitchen appliances. He wants to sell us this, right? We're looking like really like surprised, because we never seen such an insane person. He just showed up, and all my colleagues are telling me like, okay, like, let's take his money. He like arrived, he's offering some money to buy products, samples, like take everything, like why not? But I somehow felt sorry for this guy, because I seen he's like investing effort, right? And he was like kind person. So I listen to the guy and I tell him like, get out of here, get out. We are not partner for you. We are like really like ruthless purchasing companies. You will work with us, but with your products, you'll not make profit. So get out of here, right? We are not for you. You are from another country. It's a different market, right? So after that, I asked him, like, where are you sleeping? Like you are just arrived to another country, 800 kilometers from your home. He says, I don't know. Like I just arrived. I will figure it out. So I felt sorry. I like all the time thought like, okay, this guy is like good, kind-hearted, but kind of stupid. So let me take care of this like poor person. So I like took him to a like lunch. I paid him lunch with my own money. I found him some room where to sleep for low money, And 3 months later, he calls me and he tells me, "Would you like to like work for us? This is what I was offering to you. You can develop on international markets." And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, because I have like impression of this guy. He's like a little bit not clever, right?" Okay, and he convinces me during some break on holidays to come to Czech Republic to see him. So now I'm coming to Czech Republic, um, and first time in my life actually, and I come there, and there is now it's like different than I expected. It's like a huge company, and this guy enters the office with me. He waited for me, very nice. He was happy to see me, and I notice like 200 employees how we are entering are really hiding from him, like having respect and like bowing heads, and suddenly everyone starts working. And I asked him like, why are these people hiding from you? Because he had on a business card, he had like written sales manager. So the position doesn't match the relationship with the employees of the company. And he tells me, I'm actually a CEO. I'm a direct, but I didn't change my business card because the sales managers never get fired and managing directors always get fired. So he was laughing, he was, so actually, I was kind all the time to some like managing director, and he tells me, "Would you like to develop this brand across the borders in other countries for us?" And I said, like, "Yeah, like why not? Why not? It's like complete entrepreneur." And now, in the moment I said yes, he brings more people to the room, and now suddenly they switch behavior. They are not anymore polite, right? Now they switch to like they're like kind, but really like strict money investment, and they tell me, if you succeed, you will get a great reward. We will pay you properly. They calculate everything they gave me on in like Excel. But now, because we don't know you, we don't know nothing, we can give you 1,000 euros per month brutto, but that includes all your cost and fuel basically, and everything. So basically, it's like you are working for nothing, and you have to, right. So like because I had like I looked the warehouse. The warehouse was like 20 million euros of goods. The brand was not on market, and my biggest benefit was that I didn't know nothing about this job, right? So I think, okay, how hard can it be? I trust myself. I can convince people. Let's try. What will happen? Of course, behind that you have all the personal issues like terrible struggling with money, parents. But you cannot say that, because if you would say that on this meeting, they would never hire you, even because they would think you are pessimistic. So I was kind of mad, but I said, okay, like let's just do it, and let's do it. So what happens is that few first months I had to drive to Czech Republic from Croatia to get this salary. So I would have they would not send me on bank account. There is no contract. It's like just like word of mouth, like what we agree, right? So we just trust each other, right? And I drive. I get up at 3 a.m. in Croatia. I sit in a car every month and I drive to Czech Republic, which was like 10 hours then driving with really bad car to get this 1,000 euros and return back. And then I basically spend like 25% of the salary just on the trip to get, but no one cares. But parallel with that, I see these people I have like stock, and they're like quite fine. What you tell them, I need samples, they give you samples. So they're giving you like 500 euros value in goods, just not money for you. They don't want to reward you in any way. So I trusted them basically. And after 8 months, they send me a message that they will not be able to pay me anymore because it's not working. I didn't sell nothing. Yeah, I sold exactly zero. And because we had borders, you have import procedure. Croatia was then not member of European Union, so you had to like custom clear the goods, transfer. So I was wasting all my time on actually customs issues. So 8 months, I got this message by miracle. Uh, there was a small retailer in Croatia, and I gave them 4 pieces as a sample, right? And they put it in some leaflet. They got samples; it's free of cost, and they put it on leaflet, and they advertised it like for few euros. It's like ironing machine and hair dryer, whatever they had samples. They put it like they are selling it. They wanted to attract customers. But all other customers, hypermarket chains to which I was offering, were ignoring me. So one morning, I see hypermarket chain purchaser calls me on a phone. I see his number and I like got scared because I hated this guy. Whenever I called him, he always told me like, I'm not interested, right? So he calls me and he tells me without any introduction, he tells me, so, and he says some cursing word like friendly, and he says, so you tricked me, right? And I said, how do you mean you tricked you? He said, I see your products are in that other retailer leaflet. So now I want to like explain, that I gave it to them, right? But by accident, like a really nice accident, he starts speaking and he sends, I want thousands. I want 1,000 pieces.
Whoa.
Because what happened is that, these hypermarket chains, they have software which is monitoring competition. So what happened is that
Ah.
it simply, when I gave it to them, I know nothing about it. It just like scanned that someone is selling something extremely cheap, and hypermarket chain. So these people having a sample of 10 pieces are destroying the hypermarket sales. And now it's like a game. Like a game. He has to get it cheap. So he calls
So
me
he wants
immediately.
more.
He wants more. He needs to show his bosses. I'm sure he got in trouble with bosses because this is everyday meeting. So suddenly, it's 1 week past from the time that I am warned I will lose the job, that I got 2,000 pieces of items order, and I
Wow.
forward this. And now I don't know nothing about the job. I'm just like a naive child. This was like 14 years ago. Like, they call me, I always answer. I didn't know it's rare to always answer. So when the purchaser were calling me, I was like a president is calling me. He calls, I get up, like I'm standing. I have a pencil. Whatever he tells me, I'm listening, and I'm fighting with the company in his name. Whatever made sense for me, I'm fighting for the customer. So if the company is doing something not good, not ethical, I'm fighting with them. And I didn't at that time know that this is like something special. I didn't know that you shouldn't answer the phone to the customer, because I used with the plumbers, the customer is paying
Yeah,
you.
you're dealing with.
Yeah. So the customer can tell you, yeah, it's very nice what you did, but you will not get paid because you didn't finalize it has to be done 100%. So after 4 years, we really developed the brand, but then I realized that we could expand internationally. So I don't know nothing about marketing budgets. So to contact customers, I'm heavily using internet, right? So whatever I'm searching, I search on internet. And I realized, okay, we need to make a website for the brand, but also for myself, because wherever I come for a meeting, they always have the same questions: who are you, what are you? So I decide to put online all the frequently asked questions on my profile, on company profile, and this is the start of digital personal branding for me. And basically, we managed to export brand to, while I was working, to some 12 countries with almost zero marketing investment. Nothing was done in spending money from the huge budgets. Then I realized, okay, this digital personal branding is great. And how I wrote the book is that these people were nonstop asking me for it, and I got irritated by nonstop answering the questions. So I had a bunch of materials which I would give it to them and said, here, it's all written, and I wrote this. Then I realized, okay, I have a book. And like 3 people told me, like, you should write a book. And I said, like, I have a book, just we need to put it in a cover.
You just need to package it better.
So then we packed it, and it's selling really well. Especially what's really surprising, digital personal branding is like selling in USA really like amazing. And my theory about this is that my book is written in format of a more technical manual. It's really like technical manual, instead of what you usually have, these like catchy phrases, and it's really like guiding you step by step. So I
Guide,
wrote
yeah,
it.
so people can take steps.
Yeah, you literally page by page, you can take a step and you can achieve a goal, because this is again my engineering background and plumbing ground. You have to explain the customer how to use the
Explain.
thermostat for the heating.
Yeah.
So
So
that's
it's
the
more
whole
like a
story.
manual.
Manual, yeah. And this is how when they were telling me to, editor was telling me, for example, some advices, you need to put some more catchy phrases, and I said, no, we will write it half technical, half like academic, so we will have like eternal manual until the gods of internet don't change the internet.
Wow, wow, that's such an interesting journey for you. How it feels like you fell into what you did now by accident, like it wasn't planned but then you were able to leverage it. So what would be from this part of your story? What would be the lesson that you like to share? Because I know from the former ones, like you keep reinventing yourself, which is glaring in the story that you've shared now. Like, okay, I've known this thing now. Can I reinvent it? I'm not going to stick with just being a plumber, because you are applying what you learned as a plumber, as an engineer, to what you do now as, a marketer or a salesperson, right? So what would be your lesson? What would be another lesson that you can share with us as we wrap this up?
So again, lesson which I learned in all this is to constantly test. You have to question the reality. So in my Instagram profile is written that I'm questioning my reality, nature of my reality, for 43 years in a row, because I'm now 43 years of age. So you have to constantly test yourself. For example, copywriting was extremely popular, a really well-paid job. And who would 3 months ago think that ChatGPT will show up and like completely destroy it? Yesterday, I had a meeting with one copywriter, and it's really like a nice lady that is 20 years in that job. She was in complete panic. So I told her there is no point of resisting. Now you can start using this AI in your job to like get more customers. If you resist, I showed her the articles, how it's writing it quickly, right? So questioning nature of reality. Is it like really this my role? Is it like really destined that I live in a village and I'm poor just because I'm a refugee, or I can do more? Then when I get a corporate job, then is it really like that this is my life, that like I know how to solve problems, and I'm like forbidden to use it? And don't be discouraged by people telling you you shouldn't say that, because this is the most common sentence that I still hear. You shouldn't communicate like this. You shouldn't say that. Actually, for me, it did wonders, right? So main lesson is like question your reality. Am I really destined to be poor, or really like suffer? Because when you see these people who have serious quantities of money, they are not so, let's say, like amazing workers. They're not working harder than a normal person. Any construction worker is working harder than any corporate person, right? But for less money, right? So you need to like question how to apply this to something else. How can I apply my experience as a plumber with dealing with customers to actually selling something? And it might turn out that uh, you are you are just not paid enough because you are in wrong position, right? So this would be my main lesson. It's hard to summarize it, but I hope it's like question the nature of your reality.
It makes a lot of sense. Thank you so much, Darius. And I wish you all the best as you keep evolving and as you keep reinventing yourself and questioning your reality, so that you're able to serve people better with what you do, with your knowledge, with your skill, and with your experiences. Thank you so much for being here on the show today. All right, guys, I really do hope that you've learned one or two things from Darius' story, because I just love the simplicity of it. Don't listen to the should. I mean, pay attention, but then if you're convicted, if you're convinced that what you're thinking about, what you're saying is working for you, then stick to it and keep working it. Don't let what people say distract you from what you know can work for you. Thank you so much, Darius. Again, it's like coming away again next week with another story. This is the Stretch Street podcast, and this is the Energetic EJ. Thank you. Bye bye. Hey, thank you for watching today's episode. I really do hope that you found it valuable. All right, if you did, please visit us again next week when we will put out another episode. In case you forgot at the beginning or at the middle, now is a good time to click on the subscribe button, turn on notifications so that you don't get to miss any of our episodes. All right, till we come your way again next week, remember also to read the description of this video for any links that might be there that would help you or also help you support the work that we do here. All right, I'll see you next week. Bye bye.